The alien girl's last day, the sky was dark above the galactic court tower. Inside, the halls were silent. Even the guards did not speak. They only marched forward, their metal boots echoing on the cold floor. In the center walked a young alien girl. Her name was Alara. Her hands were in chains, her head was low, her skin was pale blue, and her eyes were like two glowing stars. She looked too small, too weak to be dangerous, but today she was going to be executed. She was the last of her kind. Hundreds of aliens gathered outside the tower watching on giant screens. They cheered, shouted, and threw things at the screen. To them, Alara was a monster, a threat, a reminder of the war her people had once caused. But Alara had done nothing. She had only survived. Her planet Vera was destroyed 5 years ago. No one knew how she lived. Some said she hid underground. Others said someone helped her escape. Whatever the truth was, the Galactic Empire had found her 3 months ago, hiding on a mining ship near the edge of known space. They took her, put her on trial, and now they were going to kill her. The guards stopped in front of a giant metal door. The execution chamber. Alara looked up. Her eyes were calm, almost empty. Not afraid, not angry. Just tired. Open the door. A voice said through the speaker. The door hissed and opened. Bright white light filled the hallway. Alara took 1 step forward. But then, a voice shouted from behind. Stop. Everyone turned. A man stepped out of the crowd. Tall, strong, human. His name was John Rayner, a former soldier, now just a pilot, working with the trade union. No one had noticed him before. Now all eyes were on him. I'll take her, John said. The guards looked confused. The speaker voice returned. What did you say, human? She's just a child, John said. I will take responsibility for her. I will take her to Earth. Silence filled the hallway. Alara looked at him, confused. No one had ever spoken for her before. Earth has no right to interfere, the speaker said. John stepped closer. You said the Empire seeks peace. Killing her will not bring peace. Let her live. Under my care. In a room high above, the Galactic Council members watched the scene. They whispered among themselves. They didn't trust humans. But this offer was interesting. Finally, a voice answered. Fine. She will be released into your care. But hear this. If she causes even one problem, Earth will be held responsible. Your planet will pay. John nodded. I understand. The guards looked at each other, then slowly removed Alara's chains. She didn't move. She only stared at the man who had just saved her life. John offered his hand. You're safe now. Alara looked at his hand, then slowly took it. The screen outside went black. The crowd outside the tower began to shout and riot. They wanted blood, not mercy, but it was too late. Inside the tower, Alara and John walked away side by side. She didn't know who he was. She didn't know why he had helped her. But deep in her heart, something whispered. This was not the end. This was only the beginning. Why did the humans save her? Alarms echoed across the skyport as John Rayner and Alara walked through the docking bay. Guards followed close behind. Cameras watched from every wall. Everyone was watching now. Inside his small ship, the Dauntless, John gave Alara a seat near the window. She sat quietly, her hands still trembling. The ship hummed as engines warmed up. You've never been in a human ship, have you? John asked. Alara didn't reply. She only stared outside. Planets moved slowly in the distance like silent giants. Her eyes were filled with stars, but also fear. John sighed. Yeah, I guess there's no reason to trust me yet. He walked to the control panel. A message blinked red on the screen. Warning. Galactic Council has issued conditional release. Subject is under threat watch. He deleted the message without reading more. 3 hours later, they were far from the Council world, alone in space. John sat across from Alara in the quiet ship. He handed her a small cup of warm broth. She sniffed it, unsure. It's just soup, he said. Not poison. She took a sip, slowly. It was the first thing she had tasted in days that wasn't bitter or dry. After a long silence, Alara finally spoke. Why did you save me? John looked at her, surprised. Her voice was soft, almost like wind. He leaned back in his chair. Honestly, I don't know. Alara tilted her head. That is not an answer. He smiled, a sad one. Maybe it's because I saw my daughter in your eyes. Alara's eyes widened slightly. John continued, his voice quieter now. My daughter died 5 years ago, in the war. Your war. Alara looked down. But I don't blame you, he added. You didn't start that war. You were just a kid. They say, my people were dangerous, she whispered. Is that true? John's eyes hardened. They weren't dangerous, they were powerful, and the council feared them. There's a difference. He stood and walked to a storage locker. From inside, he pulled out a small glowing cube. What is that? Alara asked. A memory crystal, John said. From your planet. Vera. He placed the cube in her hands. It lit up with soft blue light. I found it on a battlefield. Your mother recorded a message in it. Alara's fingers shook. The cube came to life. A hologram appeared. An alien woman with the same glowing eyes. To my daughter, Alara, the message said. If you are hearing this, it means our world has fallen. But remember, you were born with light inside you. Don't let them turn it into shadow. The hologram faded. The room was silent. Alara closed her eyes. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. John sat beside her. They wanted your people gone because they couldn't control them. The Empire fears what it can't command. Suddenly, the ship's warning alarm beeped. A red dot appeared on the radar screen. Incoming ship, John said, standing quickly. No ID signal. Alara stood too. Are they following me? John checked the screen. That's not the Empire's ship design. Someone else. A bounty hunter? Alara asked. John nodded slowly. Maybe more than one. The ship shook as a blast hit the hull. They're not here to talk, John muttered. Alara turned to the window. 2 black ships circled around them like sharks around a dying fish. Get to the back, John shouted. There's a secret room, hide there. No, Alara said. I won't run again. She stepped forward and raised her hand. The air shimmered. The lights flickered. Something strange moved around her. John watched, stunned. What are you doing? He asked. Alara's voice became deeper. I don't know. Outside, the enemy ship suddenly lost control. Their weapons stopped firing. One of them spun off into space. The other vanished in a blink of blue light. Silence returned. Alara's glow faded. She fell to her knees. John ran to her. What was that? She breathed heavily. I think I unlocked something. He helped her up. You just saved us. She looked at her hands, afraid. Or maybe I'm more dangerous than they thought. John shook his head. No. They were wrong to fear you. But now we know. Someone out there wants you dead. And it's not just the Empire. Alara looked into his eyes. Then what do we do? John stared out the window at the stars ahead. We find out who you really are, and why they're so afraid of you. Far away, on a secret moon base, an alien general stood in a dark room. Screens showed John's ship escaping. The girl has awakened, he said to the shadows. A voice replied from behind him. Should we inform the council? No, the general replied. The humans are fools. We will handle this, ourselves. Life on Earth? Or is it a prison? Alara expected Earth to be beautiful, warm, alive. But when she stepped off the ship and looked around, all she saw were fences, guards, and cold concrete walls. Welcome to your new home, John said quietly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were heavy. The landing site was a military zone, hidden deep under a snowy mountain in northern Canada. No one was allowed in or out without permission. Soldiers lined the walkways. Towers watched from above. As they entered the main facility, Alara noticed something. People were not looking at her like she was a guest. They looked at her like she was a weapon, a threat. John led her to a room made of glass and metal. No, windows. One bed, one screen, no door handle on the inside. Alara looked around slowly. This is a cell. John paused. It's just temporary. She turned to face him. I thought you said I was safe. John sighed. You are. But Earth has rules, and they're scared. Of me? Of what you might become. Alari lowered her eyes. I already became something out there. I felt it. Something inside me woke up. John nodded. And that's why we need to be careful. Later that night, John sat in a conference room across from General Ward, a gray-haired man with sharp eyes and no smile. We gave you custody of the alien girl, not permission to bring her to Earth, the general said coldly. John crossed his arms. She's just a kid. No, she's a time bomb. John leaned forward. She saved my life. Twice. And maybe next time she'll take it. The room went quiet. Finally, the general said, she stays in lockdown. No outside. Contact. And if we see even one sign of danger, she's done. John said nothing. He knew the threat was real. And not just from the general. Days passed. Alara stayed in the room, watched by cameras 24/7. She was given food, books, and a small touchscreen to learn English. She didn't complain. But she didn't smile either. Until one day she found something. Music. Soft. Human music. Piano. Strings. Something gentle. She listened to it for hours. When John visited her the next day, he found her drawing on the wall with her finger, patterns like the ones from her home planet. You like music? He asked. It feels like a memory, she said softly. But not mine. Someone else's. Someone kind. John smiled. Humans aren't all bad. Alara looked up. Neither were my people. He nodded. Then let's prove it. But not everyone agreed. In the shadows of the facility, deep in the restricted section, a secret group watched her every move. She's connecting with the human, one scientist said. Too fast, said another. A woman with silver eyes leaned forward. Then it's time we test her. The next morning, Alara was taken to a new room. This one had strange lights, glowing walls, and machines. What is this? She asked. John wasn't there. Instead, she faced doctors, soldiers, and cold voices. Just some tests, one of them said. Don't worry. They told her to sit. They placed wires on her skin, scanned her brain, poked her arm with needles. Her hands shook. Memories of her capture returned. Alara cried out, Where is John? No one answered. Suddenly, one machine buzzed. The screen flashed red. Something inside Alara's body was glowing. Something no one had seen before. A hidden energy. What is that? A doctor whispered. Alara's eyes opened wide. The lights in the room flickered. Glass began to crack. Alara stood up, terrified. Stop, please. But the tests continued, and then everything exploded. A blast of pure force knocked everyone to the ground. Machines flew through the air. Alarms screamed. Glass shattered. When the smoke cleared, Alara stood alone in the middle of the room, eyes glowing, hands burning with energy. Guards rushed in, pointing weapons at her. Do not move. She raised her hands in fear. I didn't mean to. Get on the ground, they shouted. Before anyone could fire, John burst in. Stand down. Alara looked at him, tears in her eyes. I didn't want to hurt them. John looked around. Injured, staff, broken walls, fear in every face. I know, he said quietly. But you just gave them another reason to be afraid. That night, as Alara sat in the dark, the same silver-eyed woman watched her from the other side of the glass. Subject is unstable, she whispered into a calm, but growing stronger. a voice replied, cold and clear. Prepare for Phase 2 and begin background check on John Rayner. He may be compromised. Far above Earth, in the shadows of space, a hidden Empire ship floated silently. Inside, an officer studied Alara's explosion report. She has awakened, he said. The captain nodded. Then the ancient blood still lives. She must not be allowed to complete the awakening. The officer hesitated. And the human? Kill him too. If he protects her, he is one of them now. The assassins arrived. The snowstorm outside the base had grown stronger, almost as if the sky itself was warning them. Inside the underground facility, alarms had stopped ringing, but tension filled every room. Alara sat on the floor of her glass cell. She hadn't spoken since the incident in the lab. She had broken the machines, hurt people, but she hadn't meant to. Her hands still shook at the memory. She didn't understand the energy inside her. It came when she was scared, when she felt cornered. And every time it came, it felt less like power, and more like someone else inside her was waking up. John hadn't visited for 2 days. She was beginning to think he'd given up on her. On the surface, a guard stood in a tower, half frozen, staring into the blizzard. Visibility was low. White snow covered the cameras. "Base, this is Tower 6, he said into his radio. "I've got movement in the storm. Possibly a drone, maybe a scout." The voice on the other end was lazy. "Probably just ice foxes." The guard narrowed, his eyes. "No, something's not right." A second later, the radio went silent. Beneath the earth, John stood in the command center, arguing with General Ward. "You kept her locked up, ran illegal tests, and now you're surprised she reacted." John's voice echoed in the metal room. General Ward slammed his fist on the table. "She nearly destroyed half the lab. She was scared. She's not a weapon." "Then why is there classified energy inside her that not even our tech can measure?" Before John could answer, an emergency alert flashed red across every screen. "Unauthorized. Breach level 1. External perimeter compromised." The room went cold. "What now?" General Ward muttered. Alara heard it too. A low siren. Not like the normal ones. This one pulsed deeper, like a heart beating faster and faster. The lights flickered. She stood quickly. Outside her room, the hallway lights died. Only red emergency lights remained. Shadows moved in the hall. Not soldiers, not doctors, figures in dark armor. Thin, silent. Their eyes glowed orange through their helmets. Alara stepped back. The first assassin raised a small weapon, not a gun, something sharper, something older. The glass between them began to melt, not break. Melt, like it was nothing. Alara screamed. John raced through the halls. Soldiers ran past him in panic. Smoke filled the air. Power was dropping. He pushed toward Alara's holding area, his sidearm ready. His earpiece crackled. "We've got unidentified attackers in the base. Non-Empire origin. Tech unknown. At least a dozen." "Are they here for the girl?" John asked. No one answered. He didn't need one. Inside the cell, Alara stood frozen. The melted glass was gone. 3 assassins entered, silent as ghosts. She raised her hand. Her fingers glowed faintly. The power was there. But it wasn't listening. Not fully. Not yet. One of the assassins moved fast. Too fast. A blade shot toward her chest. But then, everything stopped. Time didn't freeze. It slowed. Light bent around her. The room shimmered like a dream. And a voice whispered in her mind, "You were made to survive, not to run." Something inside her snapped open. A burst of blue-white energy exploded from her chest, throwing the assassins across the room. The walls cracked. Pipes burst. One of the assassins hit the ceiling and didn't get up. Alara stood in the center of it, floating. Her eyes were glowing again, but now they were burning like twin stars. John reached the door just in time to see the second wave of assassins move in. "Alara!" he shouted. She turned. "Get down!" she yelled back. John ducked as another energy blast shot from her hands, tearing through the floor. Alarms screamed. The hallway collapsed behind him. Alar ran to him out of breath. "They're not from the Empire." "Then who the hell are they?" John asked. "I don't know," she said. "But they want me dead." John pulled her behind a wall as another explosion hit. "We're getting out of here." Alar looked around. "You'll be branded a traitor." "Too late for that," he said, grabbing her hand. In the control room, General Ward watched the base security feed go black, one screen at a time. A woman in a lab coat stood behind him. "The assassins aren't Empire," she said. Ward narrowed his eyes. "Then who are they?" she whispered. "They're the ones who built the original Purge virus, the ones who started the war against her people. But they were wiped out. So we thought." The general stood. "Get the air units ready. If John and the girl survive, they'll head for the surface. We stopped them there." The scientist nodded, but her eyes stayed on the dark screens, watching the shadows. Above ground, the snowstorm had cleared. The mountain stood silent except for smoke rising from vents. A hidden hangar door opened with a groan. John and Alar stepped into the cold night. Both were bleeding. Both were breathing heavy. Alar looked at the stars. "I felt something when they came," she whispered. "A message, not with words. It said, 'You are the last key.'" John looked at her. "What does that mean?" She turned to him slowly. "It means they don't just want to kill me." "Then what?" "They want to stop me from waking something." "What?" Aller looked up at the stars again. A truth bigger than any empire. Far above them, hidden among the stars, the old Empire fleet was listening. A commander stared at the map. "The key has begun to open, and the traitor human is now bonded to her." A hooded figure behind him spoke in a dark voice. Then, "The old galaxy is returning. We must act quickly," said the commander. The hooded figure turned. "No. We must let her come, and then destroy her at the door." The truth about Alaratha Cold Wind whipped across the snowy cliffs. Far below, smoke still rose from the ruins of the mountain base. John and Alara stood on the edge of the ridge, hiding behind broken rocks. John held a stolen communicator in one hand, trying to break into an old military signal. Aylar stood beside him, quiet. Her hand still trembled, not from cold, but from fear. Or maybe something else. Something growing inside her. A pressure, a storm that hadn't yet been named. "They'll come again," she whispered. John looked up. "I know. We don't have much time." He finally broke into an old code from his war days. "I know someone," he said. "Someone who doesn't work for the council. Maybe she can help us." Alar nodded. She trusted him now, not because he saved her, but because he stayed when others ran. They traveled by night, stealing an old snow skimmer and heading south, across the icy plains. For the first time in days, the stars were visible. Alara looked at them not with wonder, but recognition. "I've seen those stars before," she said. John glanced at her. "You've never been to Earth before." "Not in this life," she replied. He frowned. "What does that mean?" She didn't answer. They arrived at a hidden outpost, an old observatory built into the side of a cliff. It was dark, silent. The entrant scanned John's face and let them in. A woman waited inside. Tall, sharp eyes, hair tied back in a silver braid. "John Rayner," she said. "You bring trouble everywhere you go." "Good to see you too, Eva." Eva's eyes shifted to Alara. "So, this is her." Alara tensed, but Eva didn't move closer. Instead, she walked to a wall panel and pressed a button. The room changed. Walls turned transparent, revealing holograms, maps, star charts, symbols written in old alien languages. "What is this place?" Alara asked. Eva replied. "A forgotten archive. Banned knowledge. Things the Empire and Earth don't want people to remember." John said, "Tell us what she is. We need the truth." Eva walked toward one of the star maps. She pointed to a dying sun. Your people, Alara, didn't come from Vera originally, they came from here. The origin sector. Home of the first Lightborn. Lightborn? Alara repeated. A species older than the Empire. Created not to conquer, but to protect life itself. They were guardians, teachers, healers. They could connect minds, share memory, stop wars before they began. John leaned forward. So what happened? Eva's face hardened. They were betrayed, by their own creations, by us. Alara's eyes widened. Humans? Eva nodded. The first human colonies feared them. They couldn't be controlled. They didn't use money, they didn't fight, they shared everything, and they could not be lied to. John looked stunned. They could read truth? They could feel it. Across species, across space. Eva looked directly at Alara. You are the last Lightborn, the last spark. They thought they wiped you out. But one escaped. You. Alar stepped back. I'm not a weapon. You're not, Eva said. You're worse than a weapon to them. You're a mirror. One that shows the Empire. Everything it's become, as the truth sank in. John received an emergency transmission on his stolen communicator. He tapped it open. The screen flickered. General Ward appeared, blood on his forehead, smoke behind him. Raynor, he said, coughing. Listen carefully. Earth Command has activated Protocol 0. They're hunting you. Not just the girl. You. They've declared you a traitor. Why? John asked. They found out she's not the last of her kind, Ward said. She's the beginning. The screen went dark. Alar sat in a corner, her eyes glowing faintly. Her body shook, not from fear, from memory, flashes of places she'd never seen, a city made of light. War fought in silence, a face, her mother's crying, whispering something over and over. The key must awaken. The key must awaken. John came to her. What's happening to you? She looked at him, tears in her eyes. I think I'm remembering lives that weren't mine. Eva nodded. The Lightborn didn't die. They scattered their souls into the stars. One spark. In each generation. Waiting. John stepped back. So Alara isn't just herself. She's all of them. Eva opened a panel and pulled out a glowing stone, a data core. This, she said, was recovered from a fallen Lightborn temple. It holds their final message. She gave it to Alara. The moment Alara touched it, the room darkened. A voice filled the air. Not a human voice. Not alien. Something deeper. Older. To the last spark. If you are hearing this, then darkness has ruled too long. Awaken the gate. Open the memory. Bring back the balance. The data core melted in her hands. Alar looked up. There's a gate, John asked. Where? She turned slowly. Not on this planet. Miles away, deep inside Earth's central. Command, a man in a black suit watched them through an illegal satellite feed. They know, he said. Behind him, a group of officers stood in silence. Send the strike team, he ordered, and tell the Empire, if they want her dead, they better move faster. The girl's awakening, and we're already too late. Far above the planet, on a dead moon orbiting a black sun, the ancient gate of the Lightborn began to glow. A pulse of light moved across the stars, and somewhere, something else woke up. Escape from Earth Aylar stood at the edge of the observatory, staring up at the night sky. The stars seemed brighter now, as if they were watching her. Waiting. Behind her, Eva packed gear into a hidden transport unit. They'll come at dawn, Eva said. If you're still here, you're dead. John tightened the straps on his coat. Then we leave before the sun rises. Alar turned. You saw it, didn't you? The gate, in the vision? Eva nodded slowly. Yes. It's real. It was built before time, before memory. The Lightborn called it the mirror. They said the truth waits on the other side. And the Empire? John asked. Eva's voice lowered. They fear it more than anything. In the shadows of Earth's orbit, A fleet of black ships drifted toward the planet. They carried no flags, no lights, no mercy. Inside the lead ship, Commander Threx stood before a digital image of Aylar. "Target confirmed," he said. "Spark 1 is alive." An Imperial officer stepped forward. "Why not destroy her from orbit?" Threx shook his head. "We need the body intact. If she reaches the gate, the old truth will rise again." He turned to his soldiers. "Prepare to strike." Before sunrise, John, Aylar, and Eva climbed into a stolen Skyhawk, an old, rusted shuttle buried under the observatory for years. Aylar sat in the co-pilot's seat, her eyes scanning the sky. "What if I can't control it again?" she asked. John looked at her. "You didn't destroy that base because you were dangerous. You did it because you were afraid." She nodded. "And now I'm both." The engines roared to life. Eva entered coordinates. "We're heading to launch point Echo 9, she said. "An old jump gate off-grid. If we reach orbit, it'll take us to the outer belt. From there, we follow the signal." John checked the radar. "We've got 10 minutes before they find us," Aylar whispered. "We don't have 10. On the other side of the mountain, Earth Security Command was already moving. Strike teams in black armor dropped from stealth aircraft. They moved silently across the snow surrounding the observatory. Inside the ship, alarms beeped. "We're locked," Eva said. "Launch codes are being jammed." John stood. "We've been betrayed. Someone gave up our location." Eva didn't answer. Alar's head snapped toward her. "It was you." Eva froze. You told them where we are," Alar said quietly. "You gave them time to close in." John stepped back. "Eva, why?" Eva's face was stone. "Because I thought I could protect you. I thought we could keep you on Earth and hide you. But then I saw that message from the gate. You're not meant to hide. You're meant to wake something." Alar stared. "And that scares you?" "It terrifies me," Eva admitted. "And them too, but it's too late. They're already here." Alar moved toward the door. John blocked her. "What are you doing?" "Buying us time," she said. Before he could argue, she stepped outside. The soldiers were waiting. Alar walked into the snow with her hands up. Commander Threx stepped forward. "You've caused quite a storm, Spark." Alar said nothing. He raised a device. "One signal from this and we'll bring this mountain down. Come with us, and we don't destroy everything." Alar looked at him. "You're afraid of what's inside me?" "I fear nothing," Threx said. Alar's voice grew calm. "Then let me show you what fear feels like." The snow began to shift. The wind grew silent. Alar closed her eyes. And then, the sky cracked open. Light shot down like fire, blasting the ground around her. Soldiers screamed. Weapons shorted. Metal bent. Memories, not hers, poured into her mind. A great war, a child of stars, a gate made of thought, and a final voice. "You are the echo of those who came before. You are the flame returning." Alar opened her eyes. They were no longer glowing blue. They were white. Pure. Threx dropped to his knees. His armor melted from the heat around her. "What are you?" he gasped. Alar whispered. "Truth." Inside the shuttle, John and Eva watched as the soldiers fell back, blinded by the wave of light. Eva stepped to the control panel. Launch code unlocked. John started the engines. "Now or never." Alar ran back to the ship, collapsing into her. "Seat go," she said, her voice weak. The Skyhawk lifted into the storm. Heat and light wrapped around them like a shield. Missiles fired from the ground only to vanish before they touched the ship. As they left Earth's atmosphere, the stars opened before them. Alar looked down one last time. "They won't stop," John said. "No," Alar replied. "But neither will I." 3 hours later, they reached a derelict jump gate floating in the outer belt, ancient, half-broken, but still glowing with faint blue runes. Alar stepped out onto the viewing deck. "It's calling," she said. John looked at her. "Do you know what's on the other side?" She smiled for the first time. "No. But I remember What it felt like. Eva asked. What? Home. John placed a hand on the control. Alar looked at him. You don't have to come. You saved me, he said. I go where you go. The gate activated. Stars twisted into a spiral. Time folded. Sound disappeared, and the Skyhawk vanished into the unknown. Far behind them, the Empire's last, surviving leaders gathered in silence. A dark figure entered the room. No face, only a voice. They've reached the gate, one officer said. The figure nodded. Then we begin the purge, somewhere beyond the stars, in a place where time had no meaning. The gate opened, and what lay on the other side was not a planet, not a ship, but a memory made real. And waiting inside it was the one thing even Alara feared, herself. The choice that changed everything. The gate opened into silence. Not space, not stars, just silence. The ship hovered in a place that didn't look real. Glowing light moved like water. Fragments of memory floated through the air. Images of lost worlds, voices that echoed without sound. Cities that had never been built, but still remembered. Alara stepped off the Skyhawk first. As her boots touched the strange surface, the light beneath her feet rippled. John followed close behind, gun drawn. But it felt useless here. Where are we? He asked. Alara stared ahead. This isn't a place, it's a memory. The last memory of my people. They walked forward. Eva stayed behind, watching the gate flicker. We have less than an hour. The Empire fleet tracked our jump path. John nodded. Then we finish. This before they arrive. As they moved deeper, the landscape changed. They passed statues of light-born elders, massive books floating in air, pages turning on their own. A tower appeared in the distance, tall and bright. Energy circled its top like a crown. The Temple of the Spark, Alara whispered. John looked at her. How do you know that? Because I've been here before. She touched her chest. Not in this life. But I remember the others now. All of them. Every soul who carried the spark. They're inside me. John stopped walking. What happens when we reach the temple? Alara didn't answer right away. Then she said, I get a choice. They entered the temple. Inside, the air pulsed with power. In the center stood a throne, not for a ruler but for a question. Above it floated a single star-like core, spinning, glowing, alive. What is that? John asked. The source, Alara said. The last light-born truth. A voice echoed in her mind, older than thought. Welcome, Spark. Your journey ends here, or begins again. She stepped closer. The core responded, glowing brighter. You are the last of us. Inside you are the memories of 10,000 souls. If you accept the source, you become the key to awakening the truth across the galaxy. John stepped beside her. What truth? That life was never meant to be ruled. That all minds are connected. That fear has led your people into darkness. Alara looked at the core. And if I say yes, what happens? The voice grew quiet. Then every world, every mind, every empire, and we'll see what you've seen. Feel what you've felt. No more lies. No more control. But, she asked, you will not survive it. John stepped forward. There has to be another way. There is none, the voice said. For the truth to rise, the spark must burn completely. Alara stood still. John looked at her. You don't have to do this. She turned to him. If I don't, they win. The Empire, the fear, the lies, everything stays broken. John's eyes filled with pain. You're just a kid, Alara smiled. I'm not just me anymore. Eva's voice cut through the moment. Ships incoming, dozens. They'll breach the gate in minutes. John shouted. Then we fight. Alara shook her head. No more fighting. She turned toward the source. Light swirled around her. Her feet left the ground. Her hands opened and the memories began to pour out of her, like wind, like music, like fire. John stepped back, shielding his eyes. Alara. She looked down at him one last time. You gave me a chance to live, she said. Now I'll give them a chance to see. And then she touched the source. Across the galaxy, everything changed. On Empire ships, officers collapsed as waves of memory struck them. On Earth, leaders dropped their weapons and fell to their knees, crying from memories that weren't theirs. Pain they had caused, wars they had started. On forgotten planets, children dreamed of light. And deep inside every thinking mind, a new voice was heard. You are not alone. Back at the temple, John ran to where Alara had stood. She was gone. Only a glowing mark remained, burned into the ground, a shape of a star, and a tear. Weeks passed. The Empire fell not by war, but by awakening. People remembered what it meant to feel. Governments changed, borders broke. The spark had lit the galaxy again. John returned to Earth. He stood under the same stars where it all began. In his hand, he held a small music chip, the same one Alara used to listen to in her cell. He played it, a soft, human song. He looked up at the sky and whispered, "Thank you." In the silence of the stars, far beyond the gate, a single spark floated through the dark, not gone, not lost, just waiting. Because sometimes, the smallest voice changes everything.